Moin. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Mace, coming to you from beautiful Vancouver Island in Canada. And today we're checking out Friedrich Merz's $500 billion plan to secure Europe. I'm unsure if this is directly linked to Trump's presidency and Trump's foreign policy since he came into office, or if it's been more so something that's a long time coming for Germany and Europe and the EU. But yeah, let's hop into it, see what it's all about. It's interesting times, certainly, to say. Hope everyone's doing amazing. And yeah, if you're new here, like I said, my name's Mace, coming to you from Canada. And yeah, a rapper, producer. I make music. You can check that out if you wish. I'm on anywhere music streams. Anywhere music streams. I just released a new album. I try to be prolific with my output. I try to get as many thoughts down as I can. I have little notebooks everywhere, and I fill them up with rhymes and words, and it keeps me on my toes, keeps me out of trouble. All right, let's check this out.
Highly appreciates Germany's efforts to restore European security, said President Volodymyr Zelensky following a phone call with Friedrich Merz, leader. Ukraine highly appreciates Germany's efforts to restore European security, said President Volodymyr Zelensky following a phone call with Friedrich Merz, leader of the Christian Democratic Union and Christian Social Union Party, and candidate for the position of Chancellor of Germany. This was their first conversation after the conservative bloc's victory in the Bundestag elections. However, President Zelensky had previously met with Merz after the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. Friedrich Merz visited Kiev twice.
We coordinated our positions. Ukraine highly values Germany's efforts to restore European security and protect lives in our country. We remember that Germany is the leader in supplying air defense systems to Ukraine and plays a crucial role in ensuring our financial stability. Agreed with Friedrich Merz on further cooperation and contacts, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, on X social network.
So we'll try not to talk about Trump too much in this video. Interesting, Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, is speaking about his relationship with Merz and Germany as a whole, and his appreciation of Germany's effort to restore European security. And listen, people often say, why do you want more war? Like, what do you want more war? Why do you want to create more defense spending? And you guys are just warmongers. This often comes from the right as well. You'll see this in like Trumpist rhetoric as well. Like, we're gonna just isolate ourselves, and we have no, like, why should we be paying for other people's wars? And da da da. Well, the thing is, there's countries like Russia, there's countries like North Korea, there's countries like China, and these countries, they don't play the same as the democratic, free countries in the European Union, countries in the West, like, right? They don't play the same game. And they're after different things. They're dictatorships, they're totalitarians, authoritarians, and they will encroach, invade, if you give them a space to do so. Now, there has to be a wall for them to come up against. And you can't simply just say, well, I don't want to get involved in any wars, so let's just put our heads in the sand and stay here in our country, and good luck to you, Ukraine. Good luck to you. You think Putin would stop at Ukraine? Do you think and countries around the world watching what's going on, right? Watching the geopolitical situation unfold. So yeah, and with the inclusion of Trump and his current foreign policy, there needs to be a change, and there needs to be a hard message to Putin and other dictators that they will not be allowed to invade other countries.
Ukraine on X social network.
The Christian Democratic Union and Christian Social Union Party of Friedrich Merz and the Social Democratic Party of Germany have agreed on a major credit package to finance defense and infrastructure. Merz announced the creation of a special fund worth 500 billion euros, describing it as an unprecedented investment. He emphasized that Europe and Germany must make significant efforts to strengthen defense capabilities.
The necessary decisions regarding the federal budget cannot be postponed. Therefore, next week, the parliamentary groups of the CDU, CSU, and SPD will submit a motion to the Bundestag to amend the basic law, allowing for defense spending beyond 1% of gross domestic product to be exempt from the debt brake. We aim to set up a credit-financed emergency program, a special fund of 500 billion euros for the next 10 years.
As reported by Spiegel, this is the first major breakthrough among political forces ahead of coalition negotiations. Minister of Defense of Germany Boris Pistorius called the decision a historic day for the Bundeswehr and for Germany. He believes these measures will not only modernize the army, but also strengthen the country's economy.
We are strengthening the economy and ensuring that the states also have more leeway in their tasks. We are sending a strong signal to the people in our country and to our allies. A corresponding resolution by the Bundestag would enable Germany and others to take on a leading role in strengthening NATO in Europe. Boris Pistorius, Minister of Defense of Germany, in an interview with Spiegel.
On March 5th,
I think NATO and European defense, it needs to be strengthened. Like, it's time. And the thing is that the Americans, Trump, have made it clear that they cannot be relied upon as an ally. So it's time to focus on other things and move on without the United States.
In an interview with Spiegel.
On March 5th, the Minister of Defense of Germany announced that arms transfers to Ukraine had reached their limits. At the same time, spokesman for the Federal Ministry of Defense, Michael Stempfler, emphasized that military support for Ukraine and strengthening Germany's defense capabilities must be addressed simultaneously. Berlin plans to unlock over 3 billion euros to support Ukraine. This aid had been planned for 2024 but was postponed. According to Friedrich Merz, he is in talks with ongoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz to resolve the issue of additional military aid to Kyiv soon.
Olaf Scholz's cautious policy has led to Germany fading into the background, even though Germany's military aid to Ukraine ranks second after the United States. Merz's task is to truly enhance Germany's reputation within the European Union and in foreign policy.
Minister for Foreign Affairs of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, also demands the immediate unlocking of further aid for Ukraine. Moreover, she believes that at an emergency summit, EU partners should agree on a comprehensive financial package for Ukraine, and the European Council should make a decision on large-scale investments in EU defense. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Kristina Dombrovska, UATV News.
The European Commission has introduced a comprehensive...
So really interested in all of y'all's thoughts on Merz and his plan and the overarching sentiment that it's time for NATO and the EU to strengthen defense, essentially, and increase support for Ukraine. And just overall, I think the feeling is that it's time, right? It's time.
Plan for rearming the EU and supporting Ukraine with 800 billion euros. The document includes 5 key initiatives. The first step is the release of state funds to finance the defense industry at the national level. According to President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, this will allow EU member states to increase defense spending without triggering the excessive deficit procedure and will free up to 650 billion euros over 4 years. The second step involves the creation of a new financial instrument that will provide EU member states with 150 billion euros in loans for defense investments. These funds will be used for the procurement of air defense systems, artillery systems, missiles, ammunition, drones, and anti-drone systems. This equipment could be quickly delivered to Kiev, emphasized the President of the European Commission. The third initiative will enable EU countries to use funds to increase defense spending. The fourth and fifth points of the plan focus on attracting private capital, expanding the investment market, and using mechanisms of the European Investment Bank.
Europe is ready to assume its responsibilities
And look, I hope there's a day when weapons of war don't need to be manufactured en masse. But unfortunately, humanity is not at that point yet. And I fear that we may never be. So I don't know. It's certainly a double-edged sword, and it can be tough to reckon with. That's why I'm interested to hear from you guys in the comments and like what your thoughts are on, you know, the military-industrial complex, not just the United States, of the world, you know, geopolitically, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. Crazy. What can the average person without influence?
Rearm Europe could mobilize close to 800 billion euros of defense expenditures for a safe and resilient Europe. We will, of course, continue working closely with our partners in NATO. This is a moment for Europe, and we are ready to step up.
EU leaders are planning to discuss European defence issues at an extraordinary summit on March 6th. According to Financial Times, one of the main topics of the meeting is the initiative to create a European rearmament bank, or a special fund for pan-European defence sector financing. Its primary goal will be to provide loans for military equipment purchases and fund industrial defence projects. The initiative is expected to involve the United Kingdom as well.
We see that Europeans understand that as long as Ukraine can endure, it means time gained for France, for Europe, to deploy a new system with more finances, more weapons. Protecting Ukraine also means protecting themselves and reducing the risks of an attack from the Kremlin.
The French president has urged EU countries to invest 200 billion euros in the continent's defence. In an interview with Il Foglio, he clarified that this amount will be needed at the initial stage. Emmanuel Macron also stated that EU member states should aim to increase defence spending to 3 to 3.5% of gross domestic product.
Ukraine has shown that it can survive, that it will be willing to fight, willing to defend.
And unfortunately, the defense spending, you really do. Like, you need to have a plan. Even Canada. Like, I feel like we have really not focused on defense because our neighbors are the United States. But now look, you know, what happens when your neighbor says, well, actually, friend, your country looks pretty nice and we really like all those resources that you have. How about you become the 51st? How about become the 51st state? We'll annex you. You know, we're pretty good and then we'll protect you, but we're going to need those resources there. They're looking pretty good, those mineral resources, natural resources. Because you're a resource-rich country, and, you know, we don't really want to pay for it. And look, we protect you, so... And that's like what the game Trump is playing, right? He's like... So, yeah, you do need to have a plan for defense, because unfortunately there's other countries that are governed by dictators.
Its existence, because this is about Russia wanting to wipe Ukraine off the map. But it is also about Russia wanting to wipe the current European security order off the map. So we will have to collectively defend Ukraine, help Ukraine even more than we have done before.
Europe must not only increase support for Ukraine, but also tighten economic pressure on the aggressor state, say Kyiv's partners. This could also be part of Ukraine's security guarantees. According to Financial Times, discussions have already begun within the EU about the possible confiscation of frozen Russian assets in Europe if Moscow violates a future ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. Reported by Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.
All right. So, yeah, like I said, a lot of interesting stuff to sink your teeth into with that segment. about world politics, the situation in the EU and Europe, the threat from Putin, Russia, Kremlin, and kind of the Ukraine is holding fast. And, you know, if Ukraine falls, what happens, right? Like, it's, yeah, scary times, interesting times. But, yeah, that's all I got. Let me know in the comments. I love to see your comments. I always read them. And we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.